Welcome to Dungeons & Co. You've been hired as a dungeon contractor by evil Empress Hornspike to build the deadliest dungeon in her kingdom. Your sole mission is to protect her gems from every pesky adventurer that wanders in. As you construct a bigger and better dungeon, it will attract more powerful adventurers. Whichever player's dungeon ends up with the most gems at the end of the game wins. First, let's set up. Hand each player a player board and 8 gems. Put the gems, coins, rock tiles, and decree cards into piles in the middle of the table. Create the marketplace. This is where players will buy upgrades to their dungeon. There will always be 4 1x1, 4 2x1, and 4 2x2 tiles available here. All additional tiles should be placed and shuffled into tile bags. Create the adventurer's decks. Separate the adventurer cards by their levels indicated on the back of the cards. Shuffle each pile and place them face down in the middle of the table. Place the turn tracker board in the middle of the table. Use a gem to indicate what turn players are on. Now it's time to get started. A player wins by ending the game with the most total gems. Players will gain or lose gems by fighting adventurers, adding tiles to their dungeon, or completing secret decree cards at the end of the game. If a player ever runs out of gems, they are eliminated from the game. At the start of the game, deal out 2 decree cards to each player. Players will then look at these 2 cards and decide on one to keep and one to discard face down. The decree is a secret order from the evil Empress herself. Players will be asked to successfully fulfill their secret task by the end of the game. If they do, they'll gain the amount of gems listed on the card. If they fail, they will lose that amount of gems for disobeying orders. Decree cards are not revealed until the end of the game. No dungeon is perfect. Each player board starts with 2 rocks inside of it. These are places on your board where most tiles cannot be played. To determine where a player's 2 rocks start, roll the d20. Count the number of open spaces on a player's board from top left to bottom right until you reach the number on the die. Place a rock tile there, and repeat the process once more, starting from the rock that was just placed. At the start of each turn, players will look at the turn tracker and determine what adventurers will be wandering into their dungeon. Players will then draw the corresponding adventurer cards from the correct tiles and place them face up at the front of their dungeon. This is what you're up against this turn. Now it's time to upgrade your dungeon. Players will take turns buying 1 and only 1 tile from the marketplace. All 1x1 tiles are free, hooray! But 2x1 and 2x2 tiles cost coins. Coins can be obtained from goblin tiles or from defeating adventurers. Once the cost of the tile has been paid, players can pick up the tile and decide where to place it. Make sure to replace the tile that was picked up from the marketplace with a new one from the tile bags. It's considerate. When placing a tile, there's a couple of things to look out for. 1x1 tiles either have a range of 1 or 2. This means that tiles with a range of 1 have to be placed on the inside of the grid of a player's dungeon. Tiles with a range of 2 must be played on the outside grid. Each tile can be placed in one of 3 tiers. Each tier is divided by the pink solid lines on a player's board. A tile will only damage an incoming adventurer when they are within the same tier. Some tiles have when placed abilities. These abilities occur as soon as a tile has been placed on a player's board and never again afterwards. A few tiles activate at the start or end of a player's turn. Check out our rulebook for specifics on each tile. Go ahead, I'll wait. Now that tiles have been placed, it's time to see if you've successfully defended your gems. Starting with whichever adventurer a player chooses, players will move that adventurer card down the middle of their dungeon, stopping once into each tier. Each adventurer card has between 1 and 3 hearts on it. Adventurers with 1 heart will need to be defeated in 1 tier, but adventurers with 2 or 3 hearts will need to be attacked in multiple tiers. The numbers inside of the hearts indicate how much damage each adventurer needs to be dealt within a single tier to deplete that heart. This means that if a dungeon tier deals less damage than that number, that adventurer fully heals and moves on to the next tier. Adventurer hearts must be depleted starting from the leftmost heart. An adventurer is defeated if all of their hearts are beaten by the time they reach the bottom of the dungeon. Once all adventurers have been dealt with, it's time to collect rewards. Each adventurer card shows the reward a player receives for that adventurer's defeat. Some give coins, some give gems, and others, well, they give both. If a player fails at defeating any of their adventurers, that adventurer steals a gem from your dungeon and runs off. Players must then give up a gem from their board for each adventurer that was not defeated. After collecting rewards, move the turn tracker up to the next turn and repeat the steps. If the turn tracker crosses over a white line, players have made it to the next level of the game. Congratulations! Your dungeons have gotten enough notoriety to attract more powerful adventurers to wander in. When this happens, give coins equal to the level that was just completed to the player with the fewest gems. At the start of each level, including before a hero fight, the marketplace resets. Take all tiles face up in the marketplace and shuffle them into the tile bags, drawing 12 new tiles. Once all 12 turns have been completed, it's time to see whose dungeon was the strongest. Each player should add up the total number of gems on their board, including any decree cards that have been completed. The player with the most gems wins and won't be impaled by Evil Empress Hornspike. Hooray! And that's Dungeons & Co. Best of luck to you, and happy building.